wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. In other words, in the midst of your trials and tribulations and trouble, you don't know what to do, ask God. Ask God for wisdom. Ask God how to proceed. Nothing will expose the need for wisdom like trials. Because when we're going through, we need some wisdom on how we ought to handle that trial. When we're between a rock and a hard place, we can do one of two things. We can lean on our own understanding and try to fix our situation or our mess ourselves. Or James says it's a better way. And that better way is to ask God for wisdom. Ask God, how should I handle this situation? Isn't it funny how we ask everybody else? We want everybody else's opinion. Soon as we're in a predicament, we want to call everybody up. Yeah. How should I handle this? What should I do? We need to stop and ask God. I never forget when I was in nursing and I felt God calling me to the ministry, and he gave me a dream. And in that dream, I was a little unsure of a lot of things, and I was going around and I was asking some of my preacher friends, explain this dream to me. What does this mean? And they gave me all kinds of stuff, nonsense. They thought they were helping me. But one day I was in the med room, and I put my hand on a med cart to lock it up. And I looked up at the clock, and it was like 10 of 12. And God spoke to me. He said, you've asked everyone else about what the dream was. He says, I gave you the dream. Mm-hmm. Not once, I was young in the Lord, not once did you stop to ask me. I froze in a moment. See, when God speaks to you, you will freeze. You'll remember what time it is. You'll remember where you are. Everything. It was on a Friday, 10 minutes to 12 in a med room. And I had my hands on the lock to lock the med cart up. And God spoke to me. He says, not once did you stop to ask me. I cried a little bit. The tears came down my eyes. And I says, you're right, Lord. Not once did I ask you. And he spoke to my spirit. He says, that was just where I've called you into the ministry. I went like, oh, felt really bad. I ran out from the med room, and I ran to the nursing station. Back then we didn't have cell phones. We had pagers though. But I ran to the nursing station, and I called a couple of my friends and said, you know that dream that I told you about? You told me this and that. No, God just told me what it was. What am I saying? My point is this. God says, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. Look what it says in verse 6. Go to verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not. Doesn't hold anything back, nothing short. And it shall be given him. But look what it says in verse 6. You just can't ask. You got to ask a certain way. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth, when you go back and forth, when you're doubting, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. So when you ask God, you got to believe God.